There is a feeling that many people experience at some point in their lives, but it can be very difficult to explain. It is not exactly sadness. It is not exactly happiness either. It is something quieter than that. Sometimes people describe it as feeling emotionally numb. It is the strange experience of realizing that the emotions you used to feel strongly have become distant. Moments that should make you excited feel muted. Moments that should make you cry barely move you. You may find yourself going through the emotions of life without feeling the depths of emotion you once had. And when this happens, many people begin to worry. They start wondering if something is wrong with them. They ask questions like, why don't I feel anything? Why do I feel so disconnected? Why does everything feel flat? But emotional numbness is actually something the human mind sometimes does for a very specific reason. It can be the mind's way of protecting itself. The human mind has an incredible ability to adapt to difficult situations. When life becomes overwhelming for long periods of time, the brain sometimes lowers the intensity of emotional experience. It is almost like turning down the volume on a speaker that has been playing too loudly for too long. If someone has experienced constant stress or repeated emotional pain or situations where their feelings were stretched beyond what they could comfortably process, the mind may begin protecting itself by dulling those emotional responses. This does not mean the emotions disappear completely. It means the mind places a layer of distance between you and those feelings. You might recognize a moment like this. Someone tells you something good. Maybe a friend shares exciting news. Maybe something positive happens in your life. And while you understand that it is good news, your emotional response feels muted. You smile. You say you are happy about it. But inside, the emotional reaction feels smaller than you expected. You might even notice yourself wondering why you don't feel more excitement. That quiet distance can feel confusing. Emotional numbness often appears after long seasons of emotional pressure. Sometimes people go through years where they are constantly solving problems, helping others, managing responsibilities, handling stress, trying to hold everything together. When the mind stays in that survival mode for long enough, it sometimes reduces emotional intensity just to maintain balance. It becomes a way to keep functioning, not because the person does not care, but because the mind is trying to prevent emotional overload. Another experience people sometimes describe is feeling like they are watching themselves move through the day instead of fully feeling it. You wake up, you complete tasks, you have conversations, you respond to people, but there can be a subtle sense of distance, almost like you are participating in life while observing it at the same time. You know what you are supposed to feel in certain moments, but the emotional intensity simply is not there. One of the most confusing parts of emotional numbness is that it can reduce both positive and negative feelings. People often assume numbness means someone feels sad all the time, but sometimes it is actually the absence of strong sadness as well. Moments that might have made you cry years ago may now feel distant. You may recognize that something is sad or difficult, but the emotional reaction feels muted. And this can make people worry that something is wrong with their ability to care. Sometimes emotional numbness becomes noticeable when you remember how strongly you used to feel things. Maybe there was a time when music moved you deeply. Maybe certain experiences brought tears easily. Maybe moments of joy felt vivid and powerful. And now, when those same experiences happen, the emotional response feels quieter, not gone, just dimmer. When the nervous system has been under pressure for long periods of time, emotional responses can become exhausted. It is similar to what happens when muscles are used too heavily without rest. Eventually, they need recovery time. Emotional numbness can be the mind's way of creating that space for recovery. It is not always permanent. Often it is simply a pause while the nervous system recalibrates. There are seasons in life where emotions feel vivid and powerful, but there are also seasons where the heart feels quieter. And sometimes people worry that this quiet means they have lost something important. But faith reminds us that human hearts go through different seasons. There are times of joy, times of grief, times of confusion, and sometimes times of stillness where emotions are resting. God understands every season of the human heart. One of the most common thoughts people have during emotional numbness is very simple. They want to feel again. They want to reconnect with the emotional depths they remember having. They want moments to feel vivid again, and that desire itself is important because it shows that the heart is still there beneath the quiet. Emotional numbness rarely disappears all at once. Usually, emotions return gradually. Small moments of feeling begin appearing again. A conversation that touches you, a memory that brings a tear, a moment of laughter that feels genuine. Little by little, the emotional system wakes up again. Just as the mind can create numbness, it can also restore emotional connection over time. If you have been experiencing emotional numbness, it does not mean that your heart has disappeared. It does not mean that you have lost your ability to care. Sometimes it simply means your mind has been protecting you during a difficult season, and protection is not the same thing as permanent change. The same heart that feels quiet now can feel deeply again. Sometimes it just needs time, patience, and moments of gentle understanding. Emotions return the same way the sunrise returns, slowly, gradually, but always capable of coming back.